Hello America, Jack and Margy Flynn, citizens of the American Constitution. This is segment 4 in our final segment of this series regarding corrupt government and corrupt courts in this country. Now, when this situation happened to Margy, initially, as she mentioned earlier, she wrote to all the politicians and all city officials in the city of Las Vegas. Not one of them responded. Okay. She also wrote to the governor, Mr. Bill Richardson. Okay. And many of you know Bill Richardson, and we're very happy to say that he is no longer in consideration for any governmental post and was knocked out as Secretary of Commerce due to the efforts of many people in New Mexico who recognize this guy as a domestic enemy. Now remember, in the Declaration of Independence, we have a responsibility to oppose all enemies of this republic, both foreign and domestic. And as we said earlier, there are far more domestic enemies than foreign. And as far as we're concerned, virtually every politician that exists in this country, with maybe a few exceptions on a few local levels, are domestic enemies. Why? They oppose their oaths, they oppose the constitutions, they oppose the people, the rights of the people, and their duties to the people. Well, it's obvious that the city fathers did not want to respond to Margy because they couldn't. How do you respond to something that's already in the public record and say, no, it's not true? How do you say a city clerk did not commit felony? A city clerk did not commit election fraud when it's on the public record? Okay? Now, the politicians in the state were supposed to have responded to Margy. They dummied up, just like the city politicians, because the bottom line is the politicians do not want to represent the people. They want to represent corruption, greed, avarice, and cronyism. They stay together. However, we don't back down. That's one of the first things you have to learn. If you're going to get involved in a constitutional issue, a constitutional argument, you don't back down. We didn't back down. We stayed with letters and pressure upon state government. And all of a sudden, we get a response from the Secretary of State in writing stating that a formal investigation will be held regarding the actions of the city clerk and the city attorney. Okay? We got a response from the local district attorney here in San Miguel County stating that he has a relationship with a lead defendant, namely Cheryl Yara, the city clerk, but sent the file, Margy's file, and her complaint on to the Attorney General for investigation. So now we have 3 organizations, 2 state, 1 local, taking a look at this. Citizens groups in this county petitioned the district attorney for investigations into this matter by him and by grand jury. So it's not only Margy and I in this situation, it's many, many other people. So right now we have state authorities taking a look at this matter. If this is a state issue, which obviously it is not a federal issue, and the federal court has no jurisdiction in this whatsoever. Margy, get up.
The court has no jurisdiction and it knows it. And I have basically let them know by and through a recent document that I filed with the court that this is a state issue, and the fact that state agencies are now getting ready to investigate the matter on a criminal basis lends added credibility to my original claims. I don't know how the court's going to respond, because the courts don't seem to do anything to benefit the people today. And I want you to understand, too, just how pervasive this indifference is, and this basically in-your-face, we don't care attitude. When this all came about, I actually wrote to the clerk of the court, his name is Matthew Dykeman, and I asked him for some information, specifically statistics on how many litigants that are unrepresented by attorneys, such as I, have prevailed in the federal court in New Mexico. Whether or not they've gotten hearings and, relative situations like this. None of these things were brought forward to me. In fact, the clerk wrote to me and said, oh, we don't have that information, but you can get that from the U.S. Court's Administrative Office in Washington, D.C. So I went on their website. There was nothing there. I wrote to them and asked them for what I wanted, and I also asked them for copies of the appointment affidavits of the judges, which would contain their oaths of office, and also some other information, financial, and also a copy of their surety bonds, which is something that they're supposed to have, which basically supports the fact that they'll uphold their duties. I wrote to that office in October. I've not heard a word. I've written to the clerk of the court 4 times, I believe, and he has been arrogant and blatantly refused to give me public information, so he's in dereliction of his duty. And I'm going to be filing some complaints against him, likely criminal, because of his actions. And I will take whatever actions I have to bring attention to the fact that the courts do not serve the people, just as the politicians do not serve the people. And as Jack mentioned earlier, what these people do is uphold one another's fraud. It's an insult to the American people. But again, the American people have to take some accountability too, because they have not been vigilant about their own government and their own courts. And you can understand why, with the state of affairs we're living in today, everybody is financially stressed to the max. Very few people are what I would say self-contained and relaxed. So most people don't have the time or the energy to delve into these things. But I'm going to ask something of all of you. If you are interested in what's going on in this world, if you're interested in trying to hold government officials accountable to the people because they no longer serve us, then I would ask you to write a letter to James Browning. He's a United States District Judge, and he's housed at the United States District Court for the District of New Mexico. And that address is 333 Lomas, Lomas Boulevard, Northwest. And that is in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And the zip code is 87102. That's 87102. James Browning, United States District Judge. Write Mr. Browning a letter and let him know that you think it's a disgrace that a federal judge denies due process of law to an American citizen and upholds fraud perpetrated by defendants with a vested interest in getting off scot-free. This is supposed to be the land of the free and the home of the brave. But because Americans have been lazy and sheepish, it's now become the land of the fee and the home of the slave. Please, I urge you to take action, not just for me, but for everyone in this country who has the temerity to try to run for office and to do the right thing by the people. Thank you.
Margy has tried to help the people, as we have tried to help the people, not only of New Mexico and our little community here, Las Vegas, but people all over this country. And we present seminars and lectures all over the country. In the past 3.5 years or so, we have probably presented 50 or more seminars and lectures all the way from California to Maine, okay? You can visit our website, which is citizensoftheamericanconstitution.org. If you have any questions or comments, contact information by email, address, and phone number is there. We look forward to support from the American people because right now we're in a very precarious situation and we all have to stick together. Thank you, America. We'll see you next segment.
Let's restore the Constitution to America. It's your nation. It's your law. Stand up for it before it's too late. Thank you.
Thanks, folks.